Liverpool going from strength to strength.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of Hugo Ekitike, but what I have seen of him, and I'll be honest, a big part of it is just the goal he scored against Spurs. I thought it was an incredible goal.
I know.
And I think to have that ability is very, very good. But again, big money for someone who hasn't achieved much within the game, but he's joining an environment where everything's settled. He's joining the Premier League champions. You feel like the environment's there for him to go and do well if he's going to do well at any club.
It also feels like he's ready to, you know, sometimes you get those situations with footballers where they're just ready for like this challenge. The age, the profile, the experience up until now, the fact that he was at PSG, wasn't he? And he had to like drop away from PSG, go to Frankfurt, find his feet. You know, in the way Mohamed Salah was at Chelsea.
Yeah.
And Salah had to go to Basel, go to Rome. De Bruyne had to, yeah absolutely.
Yeah.
And it feels like Ekitike has had that. He was at Paris Saint-Germain, didn't go his way.
He's
gone and scored a bundle of goals.
And I think you could tell that by the fact that Liverpool tried to move house and home to get Isak. I think this is a move that ideally they go, we sign him next summer, give him another year at Frankfurt. I think they have kind of moved this one forward a little bit because of the Isak issue.
And also because it looked like, look, if Isak's not going to leave and Ekitike ended up going to Newcastle, like there's only a finite amount of strikers around. Like sometimes you have to bring it forward. You might want to make this signing next year. You might want him to have another year in the Bundesliga. But ultimately, if you're worried about Newcastle side, because look, I was away, but I opened my phone. I was doing my best. I've got a new app where I put my apps, which vaults me out of them.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not allowed in. And I put Twitter in there. It's called Opal. I put it in. So I can't go on. So I can only go on for an hour a day at the end of the day. Went on, had a look. And honestly, it looked to me, and in my head, Ekitike was a Newcastle player. It was done.
Yeah,
that's what I'd read.
Yeah.
That's literally what I'd read. He was a Newcastle player. I then went on, which would have been closer to 24 hours later, and he was a Liverpool player. I was like, wait, what's going on here?
The Isak thing's gone weird as well because he was left out of
Howe left him out.
Eddie Howe left him out because he said his mind wasn't in the right place. And now the Liverpool move seemingly isn't happening, as we can see, obviously. The Ekitike one is. Is he going to force a move? And then if he does force a move, who's going to...
I can see that happening.
I think he can still get the move to Liverpool, though.
No, but Saudi Arabia, I've seen Saudi Arabia.
What,
I've seen that.
I'm not saying it's likely. I've seen the links.
Well, maybe Liverpool are just going to do something mental.
Well, I saw a tweet about it where Liverpool could sign him and Isak. And obviously Ekitike is basically through the door and still be in line with PSR.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And that's before selling Nunes. They've not sold Nunes yet.
But it's not only Nunes.
Or Harvey Elliott.
Or Elliott or Simicast.
So they could spend 200 million quid. That's how well run they are. So they could get both.
They've had a few windows without spending as well.
And they constantly make money on their sort of bit part players.
That's why I think it's a great deal.
Wicked.
70 mil for Ekitike is outrageous business, isn't it? I mean, you get Isak through the door, he gets injured in his first week. Suddenly spent 250 million quid. Outrageously good. I think it's great value in the market. You'd rather have Isak right now.
Can I just ask?
Why isn't Burmo
if he was signing for Man United, you wouldn't be saying this.
Why isn't Burmo?
Because Man United need a lot more than Mbeumo. I think Mbeumo is a fantastic footballer.
You judge a signing in isolation. I didn't say
Mbeumo is a terrible... I'm just saying it might have been a touch expensive. You spent a lot of money already.
How is this not
Liverpool
expensive?
spent no money last summer. Everything they do this summer is discounted. I think Florian Wirtz was actually decent money for the value that he could be in the next 5 to 10 years.
No, but you have to judge a transfer on the transfer.
Yeah, 23-year-old prodigious European striker coming from the German league. I think it's very good value for 70 million quid. Man United need more than just Mbeumo coming through the door.
No, but of course. But if you judge a signing on the signing, you don't judge Mbeumo differently because Man United also need a goalkeeper.
I don't get what the point is.
That's my point. You're saying you judge Mbeumo that way because United need more, right?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that you said Ekitike is such good value when Mbeumo was overpriced.
I think he's got a higher ceiling than Mbeumo. I think there's different factors. I think also you got Liverpool signing a player. He can play with one of the great players in the world in Salah. Everything's set up for him already. That's why I think it's good value. When you spend 70 million quid in it, it has to work more when you're at Manchester United. It's a different situation. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
you'd rather have proven goals from the Premier League, but
I think it's great value in terms of what it means for Liverpool. Look, they've had a problem position for about a year now. They've also just made a couple of phone calls and suddenly they've really messed up Newcastle.
They bullied the market.
They've messed up Newcastle again.
That's what I rate about Liverpool. That I sometimes feel with Man United, and especially during the Woodward and Murtough era, it was like they were making signings for the the impact it's going to make on social media and all these kind of stuff. If Liverpool go for a player and you don't want to join, they'll go, all right, cool. We'll wait for the right player to be available in the next window or two. Like, they're not just making signings because, we have to make a signing. Let's go and make it. And I quite respect that, because then it leaves you in these positions where, all right, you didn't spend last summer and it could have backfired on you and maybe your fans weren't happy. But now look at you.
Yeah.
You're able to splash out on all these players.
Yeah, and he's earned it, hasn't he, Arne Slot?
Big outlay, though.
He's earned it. He won the league without spending any money, won the league at a canter, in fairness, and now they've rewarded him.
Do you think Klopp wishes he had this backing? You think he leaves if he would have known he could have this backing?
Well, Klopp had the most expensive keeper in world football.
Klopp didn't win the league with in the way that Slot did, though. Like,
no, but one of the things Klopp used to constantly say, and I don't know if this is the reason why he left, but he obviously felt fatigued towards the end of it, is that he couldn't compete with Chelsea and City and even Man United. And I know they made big signings in that time, but also it was clear he was doing more than he could.
I found Klopp quite hypocritical of late, to be totally honest. I think he's been very cynical and scornful about the amount of money in the game, and then he's gone and taken a role for the most money in the game. You know, it's like I find a lot of what Jurgen Klopp is about doesn't necessarily... No, to answer your question...
No, he pretends to stand for something, but he doesn't.
No, I agree with you.
Do you think he's looking on now going, fucking hell, Baldy over there is getting all the money?
But if you gave me
he's
that, not getting the money because of the PSI. They're not really overextending themselves because of how much money they're bringing in. I know what you're saying. I know
that, but I'm just saying
he's still actually not really. They're not overextending themselves financially. Is what they're still operating within a limit.
Again,
crazy.
And I speak from experience here. If these moves do not work, then you could have a few issues.
Yeah, it's pressure for sure.
If you're still paying off.
And that's what I'm saying about Isak. That's why I'm saying it's better value, because Isak comes in, he gets injured. Suddenly you got to Wirtz and Isak for 250 million quid. At least Ekitike makes it a little bit more.
You'd rather spend 50 million more on Isak than get Ekitike.
Yeah, of course you would, but it's a touch less pressure, is what I'm saying on that squad. Having two big players come in on massive wages.
Can you see beyond Liverpool for the league? Look, you're a City fan, so I understand that you're going to be biased here, but. Really, who do you think is going to win the league next season?
Liverpool are massive favourites, no question.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think City will be a lot closer. And if Rodri's 90% there, then I think it's really close. But I'm worried about his injury he picked up as well.
I'd love to be wrong here, and I quite often am, but I just can't see anyone. Like, you know how you just said City are going to be really close if Rodri's on form? I think they're going to finish 15 points above you. Let alone everyone.
The thing is with some of their signings, and obviously I say this as a Manchester United fan, kind of hoping for it to backfire. Like Florian Wirtz isn't guaranteed to be a success in the Premier League.
But it doesn't matter if he is.
No, but it does.
It doesn't because they had the best
if you've suddenly spent 200 odd million on these two players and they're not performing, and you're trying to force them into this team and all that, and then you've got Salah who's a year on, Van Dijk who's a year on. I don't think it is that.
The reason
why I see it as different is, you know, when Lampard signed like Timo Werner, he had to work. Chelsea needed it to work for Werner. Lampard needed Werner to be a good footballer, and he wasn't. And ultimately, Lampard paid with his job for that. But if Arsenal sign Gyökeres, Arsenal need that to work. Liverpool don't need Wirtz to work because they've got the guarantee in Salah, the guarantee in Alisson, the guarantee in Van Dijk, the guarantee in
let's
McAllister.
Say front line, for example. So you bring in Wirtz, you bring in Ekitike, you've brought in whoever, and then you sell some of your squad players that you've been quite reliant on, Darwin Núñez, Luis Diaz goals, Harvey Elliott, let's say Curtis Jones, and suddenly now you've brought in players that aren't performing, and your squad players are gone.
The reason why
a lot of those players are staying, aren't they? I mean, Curtis Jones is going to stay.
I think Diaz might.
No, Diaz. I think Diaz will go.
I think Jones and Elliott will go.
Yeah.
I think Diaz will go as well. But
you could just sell Núñez and be stronger. Even if you don't replace him, you'd be stronger in the squad. 100%. Bring an academy player through. So the fact they've replaced Núñez essentially with Wirtz and Ekitike, they are way stronger.
You know, when United
are
linked to all these strikers, I'd take Núñez over most of them.
90%, but not Wirtz.
Adam, do you know how much I agree with you? And do you know how much everyone disagrees with us on that?
Bro,
I think Darwin Núñez is a good player.
I think he might be better than Ekitike.
I don't know why. People talk
the only
about,
one I don't think is better than Osimhen.
People talk about Darwin Núñez, and it's as if you've said Rasmus Højlund.
Yeah, that's crazy.
People talk about Darwin. Like, Darwin Núñez is a wicked footballer.
He's nowhere near that level, is he? He's nowhere near.
What level?
The missing against Aston Villa in a big game last season.
How many goal scores and chances he misses? Like he's created them. Like
I don't disagree.
He's a great Everton
Everyone
footballer.
disagrees with us, by the way. Everyone. If you say on any kind of platform, I rate Darwin Núñez really highly, and I think that he could still perform. Like you will get.
He's better than Gyökeres. He's better than Sesko.
He's not better than Gyökeres.
He is.
Wait, Gyökeres scores goals in Portugal. Why isn't he better than
Champions League? Gyökeres has got 6 Champions League goals last season and 9 appearances. He's got a hat-trick against 6.
I'd rather Darwin Núñez.
That's not bad, is it? I mean, it's better than what Núñez did last season.
It's good, but you know this record that I keep seeing about Darwin Núñez, where people go 98 goals in 102 games. That sounds mental. Until you then go, but it's in the Portuguese league.
It's in the Portuguese league.
It's
but Gyökeres is doing it in the Champions League. He's a better striker right now. But all I'm saying is, if Liverpool lose Núñez and replace him with Wirtz, I mean, it's going to work, isn't it? I mean, it is going to work.
I don't think there's any guarantees, man. I don't think there's any guarantees. Obviously,
he's a good footballer.
I'm someone that's kind of been in this position where you buy big players and it backfires. So I'm from that perspective a little bit. And obviously, I don't want Liverpool to do well. It is scary.